podcast where best friends and next door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. So today's episode is going to be a little longer. We're still on Influencer Month, and we're just going to cut right to the chase. So
yeah,
let's go.
Just trigger warning. This case is extremely gruesome. It involves dismemberment and possible cannibalism. So if you got a upset tummy, if you have high blood pressure, because oh my God, I do too. Y'all take your medicine. This case really got me mad. Got me a little.
I know a little bit about it.
Rough,
and it is rough.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm really glad that you did that Maris Monday this week because
we all needed it.
We needed that palate cleanser right before this. So let's gear up for it. This is a new case. It just came out just a handful of weeks ago. So this is a new and current ongoing case. So we'll probably have updates throughout the year. We'll see, hopefully. But this is the case of influencer Abby Choi. She was described as Hong Kong's socialite, celebrity, and fashion icon. She was seen at all the couture shows, decked out in Dior and Hermes and all those designers that I don't know how to pronounce. According to her Instagram, Abby was sponsored by designers like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Dior, and Chanel. And these designers would pay her to travel to events across the world because she had this very specific eye for fashion and just this natural elegance. She just exude elegance. She's a very graceful woman.
Yeah, she's super beautiful.
Super beautiful. She was a good friend to everyone she met, even people that she met briefly said that she was just kind and graceful and respectful. She was always smiling and joking and laughing, and she was just really down to earth and gentle. She donated large amounts of money to animal organizations, and I know that a lot of celebrities do this. I mean, as they should. If anybody has extra money, they should definitely
If you
donate.
have to do something money, then do something.
Do something with it, Yeah, of course. But, a lot of people that are of high standing tend to just kind of check off the boxes, donate here, donate here, donate here. And they don't ever have a personal relationship with the people that they're donating to. She was the exact opposite. She had this kind of individualism. So every little aspect of her life, she had individual respect for each thing. And she really, really cared about every individual animal that went through there. There's this one story that's told about Abby where this stray kitten was found in the middle of a busy road, had been hit by a car, and a passerby on foot scooped her up and took her to the nearest charity hospital. Her limbs were really badly broken. She was basically on the brink of death, and most clinics would say that she was too far gone. And it was a nonprofit charity clinic. So it's even if they were to save her, those costs on those types of surgeries and everything that she needed to save her life would have been so much that they wouldn't have been able to afford that. But luckily, this particular nonprofit clinic was funded by Abby Choi. And Abby Choi took it upon herself to pay for all of this kitten's needs, all of the procedures. Everything was taken care of. And she ended up naming the kitten, I practiced this. It's in Mandarin. It's called Chiche, which means car. And I think that's really cute because it's cute sounding, but also it's kind of in spite of that car I lived kind of feeling. So
yes.
Chiche is apparently making a full recovery right now and super feisty and absolutely adorable. But that's just how amazing Abby was. At one point in time when she was, walking a red carpet and, I can't imagine. I don't ever want to. That looks like something that would be very terrifying. Just a wall of people with flashing cameras screaming your name and asking you questions. But anytime she was in that position, where I normally would probably just try to ignore everybody, smile and wave and get the fuck out of there. She, like I said, she had that individualism. She would just meet every single person on their level. She understands they have a job to do just like her. And she would talk to them. She would answer their questions. And there was even one instance where a reporter got her name wrong, called her Annie or something like that. And she just kept going with the conversation, didn't stop and correct or anything like that, and continued to respect them. And there was a streamer that was there that said that she even not just answered all of their questions, but even said like, hey, would you like to follow me afterwards and we can sit down and talk? And like even extended a free interview basically with her. And that's just kind of like the over the top kindness that she has. She's just an extraordinary human being. I couldn't imagine. I want to say like, I can't imagine being that nice. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. She just had like that extra level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting to see such a kind and down to earth human being who's completely decked out in millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Like she has the rings, she has...
Well, we're so used to like people we admire and celebrities and stuff being shitbags who are extremely problematic.
Right.
So it's like sometimes when you see someone who is what they advertise themselves to be, you're always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
And it's really refreshing.
Yeah.
And now sad.
Yeah. Yeah. She reminded me of like the Hong Kong version of Audrey Hepburn, because she's very intelligent, highly intelligent, very well-versed. She's, been all over the world, and she's just very compassionate while also being extremely like high-end style icon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just amazing. So she was seen on the cover of magazines like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and Elle, and in a magazine that is in French. And I've heard it pronounced so many different ways, and I'm so Arkansan, I'm probably going to butcher it. It's called L'Officiel magazine, but I know Southerners probably would want to say Ale Official. That's what it looks like to me. But in this magazine's article released like 2 weeks before her death, like just a couple weeks before her death. This magazine article read, quote, Abby Choi is a fashion icon and media personality who's taken the world by storm with her impeccable sense of style and her unbridled passion for fashion. Hailing from Hong Kong, Abby has carved out a name for herself and one of the most sought after influencers in the industry. Her keen eye for style and her ability to mix and match pieces in unexpected ways has made her a true trendsetter, with fans from all over the world following her every move. And it has all these really beautiful photos of her. And then later on, it very ominously reads, quote, the future looks bright for this rising star. All eyes are on her as she takes the next step in her journey. And literally that next step.
Oh, no.
All eyes would be on her for very terrible reasons. It's just heartbreaking. So Abby was born and raised in Hong Kong. She lived in Hong Kong her whole life. She was born in 1994 to a mother named Zhang Yanhua, and her biological father, his name has been taken out of any type of source that you can find. I think this is on purpose. I don't think the mother wants the name known. But her mother divorced her father when Abby was very young, and some sources say it was due to a gambling problem. Abby grew up mostly living at her grandparents' house outside of the city. Her mother later remarried a very wealthy man from Hong Kong and went on to have 3 more children with him. Abby ended up taking his last name, Choi, and basically became his daughter. So anytime you hear people talking about her father, they mean this man. And she basically took on that role of being an older sister and immediately thrust into that socialite lifestyle. Again, she lived with her grandmother in the country, and now she has to come in to be like this upstanding Hong Kong socialite. So,
and I would like the equivalent to be like the Southern style debutantes.
Yeah.
It's still a thing, y'all. This is not like a 1950s thing. 'Cause, like
Right.
you get introduced at like galas and balls.
yes, yeah, that's exactly what happens
That's
next.
what it puts me in mind of.
Because he would take the children to these fashion shows and galas and red carpet events and things like that, and so they were in the media's eye from a young age. So again, they have to kind of I mentally equated it to like My Fair Lady, where like she had to come from the seaside village to be like a debutante.
Yeah.
But she did it, and she did it well. And this environment, this like fashion show environment, became home to Abby. She felt very comfortable in it. And so it kind of was like a no-brainer that this is what she would do with her life. And she absolutely flourished as a socialite. She was sent to several well-to-do boarding schools throughout her, upbringing. Boarding schools, private schools. She later met her first and second husbands in school. So the men that she married and involved in her life were close to her from a young age.
Yeah.
These were people that she knew and trusted. These were her day ones.
It's just... Yeah. See, I know about this case, so I'm not saying anything because I'm going to spoil it.
It gets my blood pressure going so bad because these were people that she trusted. And when you are a celebrity and you do have fame and money and all of this,
the people you grew up with who knew you before are the ones you're going to rely on.
Your day ones are the ones closest to you. Your day ones are the ones that you trust most. The day ones are like...
Because you assume they knew me from before, so they don't want anything from me.
Right.
Other than me.
Right.
And they're the ones who know me.
Yes.
I just think it's really insidious.
This crime makes me want to throw up because I'm just so mad. It's anger that I feel at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But from the outside looking in, it looks wholesome. It looks so wholesome. She married her childhood sweetheart. When Abby Choi when she finally turned 18, she married her first husband, Alex Kwong, who was also 18. They met in grade school, but he ended up later going to different schools as, her family got wealthier and wealthier. His family was not. So they ended up separating at schools. Now, there are some stories that are told, and of course, you don't know like exactly how much grounding each story has, but there is a little story that's told about how there's a railroad track that supposedly went in between, like directly through the middle of their two schools. And so they would meet each other at the railroad tracks. And it was kind of like this Romeo and Juliet-esque.
It's pretty cute.
If it's true, I'm sure that was really adorable, but I don't know for sure, obviously. Because this story, again, is really big in the media right now. So we really have to take everything with a grain of salt, but... in China, they have a saying that I'm not going to attempt to butcher, but it's basically the idea against marrying down, marrying below your status. And I think a lot of it has to do with money, of course, with, people marrying you just for your wealth and taking advantage of you. And so it's kind of like looked down upon to go below your status. And a lot of people have a lot of different reasons why they're against this, but Abby completely disagreed with all of the social stigmas. She loved a poor boy, and that was that. She said that she had more than enough money to take care of the two of them and his family, and as long as everybody's taken care of, who cares? Who cares where the money comes from?
Yeah, it's stuff like that's rooted in misogyny, of course,
right,
and classism.
Yeah. And greed.
And greed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this fear that, if I have money, the only reason anyone would be with me who's below me is for my money.
Right.
And it's silly because it's not always true. I mean, it's sometimes true.
This case sucks. So Her family urged her to rethink this marriage, but not for the reasons why you would think. They honestly just wanted her to rethink this because she just turned 18.
Yeah, I was fixing to say she's
so
a bit young.
And I mean, I'm preaching to the choir on that one. I've been married 3 times, and I got married as soon as I turned 18.
I got married 4 days after I turned 18 to a real big piece of shit.
Yeah, I ended up getting divorced within the first year.
I got divorced 5 to 6 months later.
We separated 3 months later, but yeah, we waited the year to get the taxes.
Y'all.
I'm just saying, I don't blame her for being 18.
No,
and,
no
you know,
judgment. We've been there.
But yeah, that was their reasoning. They weren't worried about the money issue. They were just like, you're a bit
honey,
young.
you are too young for this shit.
Yeah. But she stood by her decision and they got married. And his family, on the other hand, was absolutely elated that they were getting married. Alex Kwong's father, Kwong Kao, or as Americans would flip it, Kao Kwong, he had been a well-to-do man in town. At one point, he was a sheriff for the Hong Kong Police Task Force. And he took his job very seriously, and everybody really looked up to him as sheriff until he was laid off. General public doesn't know why he was laid off or why he stepped down from his position, but he was laid off after an incident in which a victim of an assault had come into the police station to report an assault, and she, like many of us, assumed no one would take her seriously. She was surprised when Kao Kwong took her seriously. He really listened to her. He really comforted her. He took her statements. He believed her. So she told him everything that happened to her. He, filed the report. He, being sheriff, she was really, really at ease with him. And, whenever somebody of power is listening to you and you don't think they will.
It's so validating.
It's very validating. He calmed her down so much after her attack that she was able to feel safe enough to go home and get some rest. That night, Kao showed up at her door at 2 a.m. She answered it, trusting him, thinking that, he's got information on the case. Mm-hmm. This must be really important. Oh my God, he's working this late for my case. That's really awesome. Think. So she, she's half asleep. She opens the door. She doesn't suspect anything. And he attacks her. He forces himself into her apartment and he sexually assaults her.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So this woman has been sexually assaulted twice in a row. Once by some random perpetrator.
And then by the chief of police.
The one that was supposed to protect her.
Fuck.
So when she came forward about this assault, they I guess they opened up his record and was like, let's file this complaint away. And then they opened it up and was like, oh, wait, there's more. There were several sexual assault complaints against this man.
So he's a serial rapist.
Yeah. And because of that, they asked him, he ended up weaseling his way out of an actual charge, and he just had to step down. He was just asked to step down. So again, all of this stuff is alleged because he was never actually
He should have been.
So no one outside of the police task force actually knew about what was going on. So Abby Choi had no idea. But after that, he found himself unable to hold a job. He developed a gambling and sex addiction, and he had just debt piling up. And this guy just really reminds me of like one of those really shitty characters from the Squid Games. With all the debt. And
I did not watch any Squids, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I thought you did, but you have that dream.
No, I had a weird dream about the Squid Game. Yeah. We are squids. Or it was, these are squids.
These are squids.
And then my kid turns to me and goes, capitalism. And I was like, indeed. That's the only levity you get in this entire episode.
I'm sorry. It's just really rough. Okay, so when Abby Choi married this man's son, his life would just change forever. It changed overnight. Abby Choi not only promised to take care of Alex, but took care of the entire Kwong family.
Well,
indefinitely.
that's amazing. And I'll tell you this, it's very cultural for the Chinese to take care of their elders.
Right.
A lot different than here. I mean, yes, you'll hear like, I took care of my mom, but then you'll hear about like, well, I dropped my mom off at the hospital and never returned.
Yeah, no. These
You
families,
don't do that
they
shit
stay in
there.
the same household.
Yes.
Usually the entire child's
And
life.
for the most part, I kind of appreciate that.
I think that our country disrespects the fuck out of our elders. And
The ageism, classism in this country is so fucking gross. If we used
I'll
to,
get on a soapbox about that if we
well,
had
I mean,
time.
if before the 1950s, everyone did live in a single family home. And when I say that, I mean mom, dad, kids, grandparents, sometimes aunts and uncles too.
Yes.
And everybody helped take care of the kids.
Right.
Everybody took care of the elders. And that's how it should be. But we're so far removed from that, and it's so impossible now that we'll never have it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting. God, they had it made. They had it made.
They really just won the lottery of life there.
Oh, they had it above and beyond made. I can't imagine the type of money that Abby Choi was spending on this family. And she kept her promises apparently, because she was like, no, I promised I would take care of you your whole life. They were only married for 3 years.
And she kept doing it.
Indefinitely.
That's pretty special.
Yes.
That's pretty special.
I couldn't do it.
I wouldn't.
No.
Let me tell you, all the in-laws I've ever had, and I've been married 3 times, so you do the math. That's like 9.
This one really reminds me of my
No, it's not
couple
9. What the fuck am I talking? 6.
exes back in-laws, because she trusted them. You know, remember, like, I trusted them.
Yep.
And then they hurt me.
Betrayed you.
This is, I mean, above and beyond way worse, but she trusted them.
I have never had an in-law that ever talked to me like I was even a human being. I was like dog shit on the bottom of their shoe. And I can't, like, the minute I, like, divorced a spouse, I was like, you know what? I divorced those sons of bitches too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I never have to look at them again.
Never again. Hope they burn in hell.
I'm so lucky with mine right now, but, like,
Oh, I'm not.
yeah, I know.
She doesn't even know my kids' names. Yeah, lovely.
That's okay, though.
It's fine.
This in-law family is just a 1,000 times worse. So
They
we'll
are.
just bask
They are.
in this.
Yeah, I can't even relate to that shit.
Now, Cao Kwong got off on the power. Like, this money and power and prestige was everything that he was lacking from when he got fired.
He was coming on up again.
Yes, and he was really high on this, and he became, I feel, addicted to it. I think this was another version of his addictions, is this, like, power that money gave him.
Well, it was not only the power from the money, it was the power he had over her because she refused to, keep,
Oh, yeah.
not
He got
break her
money for
promise.
free. He didn't have to work ever again for the rest of his life. And, I mean, she kept up their lifestyle. Not just floated them by, paid their bills, made sure they were fed.
They
She
had
kept
luxury.
up their lifestyle. Their mother, Miss Kwong, was just dripped in the finest of jewels at all times. Alex and his brother Anthony Kwong took up gambling and buying expensive watches was, like, really their thing. Anthony Kwong had on his Instagram just, like, bottles and bottles and bottles of these liquors, and they were, like, hundreds and thousands of dollars worth in just the bottles. Like, each bottle was, like, almost $1,000 worth.
It's just so disgusting.
Yeah.
After her generosity, which she did not need to fucking do.
They took a lot of her money and they invested in gold. So that way they had bars of gold that didn't count in their taxes, and, like, all kinds of, they did a bunch of shady shit with gold.
Yeah, not surprising.
Once the Kwongs got a taste of money, it was basically, they were insatiable. They wanted more, and they wanted more constantly. Abby even bought Anthony Kwong his own restaurant, which she tried to help him run it, but he drove it into the ground pretty much right away. It stated that he had Anthony, her ex brother-in-law, had about a $40,000 to $50,000 a day lifestyle.
I can't even fucking imagine that shit.
That's every single day, and that's US dollars.
I don't even make that much a year.
No. I can't fathom that much a year. I'm so poor. But, like, doing that in a day? Like, what would you buy?
A car?
I
don't
love
understand.
online shopping. I would buy, like, if I had $40,000 in my pocket right now, I'd probably be broke tomorrow because whatever, shit isn't real. And I'll buy my friends things, but you know what I mean? Like,
I
wouldn't have that longevity, a lifestyle of 50 grand a day.
I can't imagine.
No.
I just can't imagine it.
No. When he couldn't hold up a job at all, Anthony Kwong became her driver and did odd jobs for her to keep up with his growing debt because he was just in over his head with gambling debt. And so she was like, fine, you can work for me. And in public on Instagram, they seemed to be the best of friends. Her and Anthony were taking selfies all the time. He was calling her out like an actual sister. They acted like they were like brother and sister, best friends. They did everything together. Ugh. Even though Abby and Alex had only been together for about 3 years, they had 2 children together in that 3 years. And so it was kind of like she was also taking care of her children through this as well.
Yes, because you can't let the children's dad go without.
Right.
And then you're living in this life of luxury.
You have to keep up the lifestyle at each house so that way
it makes more sense to me.
Children.
It makes more sense to me that way. Mm-hmm. But they took advantage of it for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Disgusting.
It really is disgusting because she even let Alex have custody of the children. She never once to anyone, not her mother, not her closest friends, not one bad word about Alex. She never said one bad thing. She never had like, oh my God, he's so annoying, or you know what I mean? Like, she never talked ill about him.
I do fear, like, she does seem like a really kind person, but I think a little doormatty too. I feel really bad for her.
I just think that she is just so accustomed to the elegance and the grace that it takes to be a socialite, that making any types of waves can affect her
super
image.
Toxic though, super toxic for her, obviously.
Yeah. And it's not fair to her that she has to live that way,
and that people take advantage of it.
Because I'm fucking dead silent about my own issues a lot of times.
Yes, you are, and
because of etiquette. This is all etiquette.
Yeah, y'all, the social contract, like, we always go back and say, like, oh, I would do this. Would you, though? Would you? The social contract is very powerful.
Yes.
You have to be like a complete disruptive anarchist miscreant goblin in order to buck it. But then you're not going to have a lot of friends, and people are going to think you're weird.
Right.
And here we are. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have this grace. I fly off the handle sometimes if I need to.
You have. Yeah, once you've had enough.
Yeah.
Takes you a minute. I want you to fly off the handle immediately.
We don't need to talk
I know, I'm not going to be mean to you. I'm not going to be mean.
But even after she married her new marriage and had kids and everything like that, the children all played together. They went to the same houses together. They would go on vacations together with the Choi family, her new in-laws, her ex-in-laws would all go on huge family vacations together. It was a huge family, very tight-knit, and it's very strange how interconnected the entire family is.
You know what's funny is, like, normally I would agree with you that it is strange, but I just was like watching a show on TLC.
Yeah.
Like You, Me, and My Ex or something like that, to where the like exes live with the new couple. Like somebody's ex lives with them, and one of them is like their baby dad. It's like a whole because they want to be a whole family.
Right.
And I really respect and admire that.
I wanted that so bad for me. I wanted it so bad. But my ex is a woman abuser and a drug addict, and I just said addict.
Like an addict?
Yeah. But not that matters, but he is abusive and vile.
Volatile.
And I can't, no. But I tried it for years.
I know you did.
Tried it for years because that is a dream, to be able to split ways and still be copacetic.
I just wanted to be friends with my kid's dad.
We were friends once. Can we
friends?
Not? Yeah.
And the answer is fucking no.
Yeah.
Yeah, sad.
So after the divorce, in order to keep up their lifestyle, she purchased the in-laws She purchased the ex-brother-in-law, Anthony, a house to himself. And then she purchased a $10 million US dollar, nearly $10 million luxury apartment in the lavish Kadori Hill apartments, which is basically the equivalent of like Beverly Hills in Hong Kong, for the whole family, including the 2 children, Alex, plus the mother and the father, Mr. and Mrs. Kwong. And that alone is just...
They should have been kissing her feet constantly.
I'm saying, but it wasn't enough. This $10 million apartment wasn't enough for them.
Pisses me off so much.
One thing that's interesting to note about this case and about this apartment is that the purchase of the apartment, Rotten Mango, I don't know if you've seen them, but
yeah,
they have a podcast and YouTube. But Rotten Mango did a really good episode on this. They know a lot more about Chinese government than I do, but they said that when, especially in Hong Kong, when you are a first-time buyer, you get a ton more tax deductions off your first-time buyer. And then the more properties that you buy after that, you get hit harder and harder and harder with the taxes.
Yes.
So she had an entire real estate portfolio at this time. You know what I mean? She's bought tons of businesses, tons of houses, and she's been buying and selling and all of this. So this $10 million apartment was going to be almost like $400,000 to $500,000 extra dollars. Or no, it was going to be $1 million extra dollars, and it ended up only being $400,000. So she ended up actually paying the entire mortgage within a few months.
Girl,
I'm just saying. But she had to purchase the $10 million apartment under a first-time buyer's name instead of her own in order to get that tax cut. So she purchased it under Cao Kwong's name, her ex-father-in-law.
Damn.
Now, this is a very common thing to do, especially in that area.
With that kind of loophole.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, you have the custom of taking care of your family members. So you purchase the home for your family members. They get, the credit for the home, whatever. And then, it's just, it's family looking out for family.
I would imagine.
No. And it's, like I said, extremely normal to do this. So this isn't weird or anything. And banks know how to deal with these certain situations when the people need to sell again. So keep that in mind.
I'm keeping it.
So yeah, it's very unclear exactly where all of her money came from. We know that she was sponsored by big name designers. We do know that, she invested in all of this stuff. There's a possibility that she was just really smart with whatever inheritance she got and just used her money wisely. But there are a lot of people that are like trying to do the math here, and they're like, how the fuck does she have all this money?
I was wondering.
Because this is a lot. I mean,
it's a lot.
Poo-pooing off a $10 million apartment in 3 months is
whatever.
a big deal.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And if you look her up, there, pretty much anywhere that I could find, it says unknown under career or
net worth. Yeah.
Well, and I tried to look up the net worth. It changes almost every day right now because it's still in limbo. But she had net worth in the millions. And then her new husband, Chris Tam, had net worth in the millions. And it was said that once they got married, they together had a net worth in the billions. But again, because the case is going on right now, those numbers are skewed a bit. Because everybody's having to deal with the aftermath. Right now.
The fallout, yeah.
Right. But yeah, so we don't really know for sure. It just kind of seems like most of her modeling came from Instagram prior to the magazine deals. I don't personally think that she had any shady dealings or dealings with the wrong people. Like that's what a lot of the tabloids are saying. I don't know. She did marry her second husband, Chris Tam, in 2016, and it's so okay. There's some weird things about their marriage. First of all, when they got married, they didn't get legally married, which leads a lot of people to believe that she possibly didn't get an actual legal divorce.
I was wondering. Yeah.
that's kind of what I think, I would assume. But of course we don't know for sure, but that goes, if she's not married to her husband legally, it's very finicky with the aftermath and the death proceedings and the estates. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It is a mess. And there's also a really big debate on how Chris and Abby met, because so many sources say that they met in grade school. And then there was like their video to their wedding. They had this really awesome, like done up, like motion picture done for their wedding. And that video was released. And in their vows, they actually talk about how they met. And it's completely different than that. They say that they met on the street one day, where it was just like happen chance. They were at mutual friends. It's very likely that they might have met in grade school, just don't remember much of that, or didn't really get to know each other because they're children. And then later on re-met through mutual friends or something like that. But either way, Abby was absolutely madly in love with Chris Tam, and he was from a very wealthy family as well. His father was the founder of a popular food chain called Tom Jai International, which specializes in build your own mixin, I think is what it's called, which is a kind of like a type of pho or a hot pot. It's a brothy soup with chunky rice noodles.
Yum.
Yeah. And from his father's wealth, it's assuming that's where he got his money for all of his investments. Again, it's very unknown where Chris Tam gets his money. Chris Tam was said to have a net worth in the billions, and then together they were billionaires possibly. But together it just seems like they had this fairy tale lifestyle where, you know, they all got along. All of them got along. Like Chris Tam's family got along with the Kwong family. The Kwong family got along with the Choi family, and all vice versa. And they all seemed very interconnected. For whatever reason, in late 2022, so just a couple months ago, Abby decided that she wanted to sell the $10 million luxury apartment. It's unclear exactly why she wanted to sell it. There could be a lot of assumptions here, but the housing market wasn't really doing so great at that time. And it was said that it was likely that she probably wouldn't make any money off of the estate anyways. So it's like, why was she doing this? She did go to a banker to get this understood, because she's like, okay, I want to sell this. Like, this guy's name is on it. How do we do this? Right. And the bank is like, well, all you have to do is show that you made the payments, and, you know, we can go ahead and sign it off and you can sell it. It's very likely that this was already done, because after her death, like just the other day, that apartment sold. So I don't think that this could have been sold in the meantime. No. I don't think Kao Kwong could have sold it. So it's very likely that she went ahead and went behind their back and sold it, because she did bring it up to them and they said absolutely not. She's like, hey, she has so many other properties, so many nice properties. Yeah. She wasn't going to just stop taking care of them. She just wanted to get out from this property. And honestly, as a mom, I could see one of the reasons being that it's, you know, an apartment building. She probably wanted her kids to play in a yard.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
You know, that's what I was assuming it was probably something innocent, or,
I mean, there's no way for us to know until the trial takes place, I'm assuming.
Still, even then, we probably will never know her reasons why. But yeah, we don't exactly know what went on, but what we do know is that Abby did visit the bank. She tried to make the sale, and just a couple of days ago, it sold for $10.4 million. So she made like a little bit of money back, maybe.
But not a lot. I don't think that was the motivation either.
No.
Given her personality.
Right, right. So, yeah, Abby was away in Paris right after she went to go visit the banker about this situation. She had to go to Paris to fly out for that magazine shoot and do, you know, all the stuff for L'Officiel magazine. While she was in Paris, the Kwong family began devising their plan. Cao Kwong and his mistress, a massage therapist named Ying, purchased a ground floor apartment in a three-story house outside of the city in a nearby, very quiet, pleasant community village, essentially. There, they began to prepare a makeshift slaughterhouse. They bought plastic to line the floors and the walls, plastic jumpsuits, gloves, eyewear, face shields, face masks, electric saws, a large meat grinder, meat cleavers, knives, and other kitchen supplies. It's like Dexter in there, dude. It's bad.
I mean, this sounds like a fucking horror movie.
It's so scary. I'm like losing my breath, like trying to get to this part.
It's really creepy.
It really is. Now, nosy neighbors in the area, because again, this is a small village, right? Probably smaller than Eureka Springs. So everybody nosy, you know? And, you know, it's actually like a really big thing to go on walks all the time there. So there's people walking by constantly. And neighbors would gossip about the strange people coming to and fro from that apartment. It seemed vacant, though. There was no movers moving in furniture. There was no
lights on at night.
No lights on at night. It was as if they weren't sleeping there. They were just there during the day. And after a while, they ended up covering the door and the windows with blacked out curtains so the neighbors couldn't see in. Which brings us to February 21st, 2023. So a couple weeks ago. About a month ago.
No, about a couple months ago.
Where are we?
Who am I?
It's about a month and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Not very long ago. Very soon after she arrived home from Paris, Abby left with Anthony, her driver, to pick up her children from school. Now, with her busy schedule, being a socialite, traveling, all this stuff, it was very important for her when she had the opportunity to pick up her kids that she picked up her kids. She cherished the moments.
Busy.
Yeah, they have chauffeurs. They have, people that take care of them. When she got to pick them up, it was a special treat. It was special to her, which I get that. I'm the same way. So she would never miss picking up her kids from school. But that day she did. When she went missing, her husband immediately phoned the police. And when Alex Kwong found out that Chris Tam had called the police before calling him, he was livid. He called Chris Tam and was like, "What the fuck, dude? Why did you call the police before me? Like before calling me?" Yes. And to me, that anger just says that he thought everything was going to go a different way. He thought that maybe the family would all talk about, "Oh, have you seen her?" They would kind of bide in time.
Where could she be?
Have you seen her? And then they could make up a story.
But I'm sorry, a woman with all of that money doesn't show up for something she's going to show up for. I'd call the fucking cops too.
Right. Well, and, the cops' first thought, is probably the money, the ransom, somebody's just, trying to get, some ransom money out of it or something like that. But nobody called for a ransom at all. And yeah, it seems very rushed to me is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, yeah, they called the police and the police immediately zeroed in on the Kwongs. When questioned, the police said that the Kwongs all stuck to the same story. They wouldn't go any further. They were basically just trying to smokescreen the investigation. And they knew that they were lying. It was just red flags galore. It was just obvious. They just didn't know what to degree. So because of the high profile nature of this case, Abby being essentially a social and economic royalty, over 150 detectives were put on the case initially. I think that number would grow.
That's really wild.
So they began retracing all of her steps. They knew that she had been on her way to pick up her kids. So they tracked down the GPS of the car. And because it's a fancy fucking car, it's got GPS.
Yeah, of course.
My car doesn't. I was like so awestruck by that. I was like, wait, they can do that?
Yeah, my car is really nice, but it doesn't have a GPS.
This is a 7-seater car.
Dang.
Yeah. Not a van, not a minivan. 7-seater car. Anyway. They tracked down the GPS of the car and conducted searches of the surveillance videos throughout the city, like one by one shops in the area, just looking at all of their surveillance, trying to track down the movements of this car. And it led towards the school, stopped at the entrance of a tunnel, then turned around and drove out of the city to a small, quiet village called Taipo. Detectives went door to door conducting interviews throughout this village. They sifted through surveillance footages of the houses in the area nearby, as well as videos captured by dash cams of vehicles parked nearby. Apparently that's a thing I didn't know.
Yes, it is. It's that way in Russia, too.
That's interesting. Now, February 24th, 3 days later, after Abby went missing, after a 24 hours surveillance of the village, police discovered the location of the possible crime scene. A ground floor apartment of a 3-story house. So here's where all the trigger warnings are. I'm going to try to skim through all the group. It's bad. The place was completely empty, covered in plastic, just like Dexter. No furniture, just meat processing equipment and protective wear. When they went into the kitchen, they found 2 stainless steel pots of soup on the stove, as if someone had just gotten done cooking them. There were carrots and radishes and seasonings and meat. Suspicious meat. Meat that kind of looked like pork. Definitely not chicken or fish or cow. Next to the stove was a refrigerator. They opened up the freezer, and inside the freezer, they found legs. Human legs.
Oh, my God.
The 2 pots of soup, as well as the entire refrigerator, were sent to the crime lab, and DNA analysis was ran. The legs were confirmed to be Abby Choi's. In the soup, they found bits of her flesh, as well as some rib bones, and at the bottom of the soup was Abby's skull. Completely cooked off, identified by dental records.
My God.
They still can't find her torso or her hands, believing that they were probably disposed of them somehow. A team of investigators were sent to various cemetery sites, the sewage drains, and Hong Kong's landfill. Now, okay, Hong Kong is huge.
Yeah.
An average of over 11,000 metric tons of trash is dumped into those landfills every single day. Mm-hmm. It had been 3 days. That's like...
There's no way to sift through all that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now, around this time, villagers and friends and mourners, this is the kind of the saddest part to me. Villagers and mourners are gathering around the site of the crime scene in ritual. Because it's believed in Chinese traditions that the soul wanders around for a few days after death and then reunites with the body, but the body has to stay whole.
Yeah, I know it's a belief they have.
So they're just mourning and crying for her.
Because they think she can't find rest because her body's not together.
Yeah. I don't know why that part really hit me.
It's pitiful and it
really
sucks.
Fucking hard. Because they just want her to be at peace. She didn't deserve any of this shit. And the fact that they went to that further, they could have just done something with her.
They could have just killed her and disposed of her, but instead they desecrated her body.
Yes.
Foul.
Yes. And her soul.
These people are soulless to do something like that.
God, it's so bad.
Sick.
It's just so bad. And I don't really want to let my mind wander what they were going to do with that soup. But the fact that Chris Tam's father runs a soup restaurant just really grosses me out.
That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. I think it was a big middle finger.
Or... Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to speculate on that. It's gross.
Nope. I just don't think you would go into seasoning it that much if you weren't going to eat it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, yeah. Meanwhile, detectives work on finding the rest of Abby's body, and police go to arrest the suspects, the Kwong family. They go to the Kwong residence and arrest Anthony Cao and his wife, Jenny Lee. Alex had fled. He's nowhere to be found.
They still haven't found him?
Oh, no, they have.
Okay.
Just not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's more suspects, girl. I'm telling you, this case is wild. There's such a big rabbit hole. I don't have time for the full rabbit hole, but holy shit. So Alex fled. Word gets out that he has a goal of getting away by boat. But luckily, the cops caught him before he got on that boat.
Okay, good.
Or else he would have been the fuck out of there.
Even gonzo.
Yeah. He was found with a little bit of money, some gold, and a shit ton of expensive watches. Most people who speculate on this story think that it was just because that was his lifestyle. He wasn't going to sell those watches. Those were just like his babies. And I think that's so fucking pathetic. Ugh. 3 others were arrested and charged in aiding the crime. Kao's witness, Ing, was basically arrested for aiding in the crime, you know, helping with the purchase of the kill apartment. An unidentified 41-year-old man who worked for the yacht rental company that Alex was going to use to get away. This man had a lot of ties to a lot of different people. A lot of shady shit. His name wasn't necessarily released. It might have been released later on. But this guy is interconnected and a shitty person. Also, a woman who was originally only described as a 29-year-old female with the surname Pun, who was allegedly funding Alex's escape. So one was the yacht guy, and then one was his girlfriend, Alex's new girlfriend, later identified as Irene Pun, was actually financing this getaway. Was buying the yacht and paying for his shelter and everything like that. So a total of 7 suspects have been arrested so far in the connection of the murder of Abby Choi. The defendants will return to Kowloon City Court on May 8th, so coming up. Police have not ruled out any further arrests in this case, so I'm assuming that they might make more arrests, but that's what we have so far. This just seems like this is the tip of the iceberg, that there is so much more to this than we actually can understand right now. That being said, there is a huge controversy surrounding this case that would make this a much bigger investigation. So Alex Kwong had actually been wanted by the police for theft and fraud cases since 2015, like right around the time that they got a divorce.
Interesting.
He was seen all over Hong Kong and mainland China at events with Abby. He was in the public eye, but police never did anything. He was always there, a wanted man. Nothing happened. It's alleged that Abby knew about this and that this is when they got the divorce and she married Chris pretty much immediately. But some sources question if she ever actually divorced Kwong, at all. Hong Kong media reported that the Kwong family set up 2 companies in mainland China in 2020. One has a registered capital of 50 million yuan, which is 7 million USD, and the other company has a capital of nearly 3 million USD. Of these 2 companies, Cao Kwong holds 80% of the shares, Anthony holds 20% of the shares, and it's Alex Kwong's corporate email that's attached to the companies, which I just think that's a kind of funny little...
That is funny.
Little jab. But still, these 2 companies have zero net worth. They have made 0 transactions. They're just random ass companies.
They're shell
We don't
companies.
even know what they are exactly. Money laundering.
Absolutely.
There is a lot of suspicion and many allegations directed towards the Choi family as well. Now, here's what's been said. It is suspected that they didn't have as much money as they let on. Abby's mother came from a poor family, and Mr. Choi may not have had as much money, had been as successful in the businesses as the man made it seem. Abby's mother allegedly made her money by investing in the titanium business. This is while she was away with her grandmother. Her mother invested in the titanium business and became rich by, quote unquote, participating in infrastructure projects. What the fuck does this mean? First of all. Second of all, little Miss Choi does not know anything about the titanium industry. No. She is not an engineer. She doesn't know what this is. She didn't go to schooling. She has no idea about finances and business.
That's weird.
Random ass thing to invest money in. Where'd you get the money? But she's known to be made it rich from the titanium industry.
Very strange.
And yeah, she basically has yeah, it's just really, really sus. She has no background in this. The Tam family is also sus. When Abby and Chris married in 2017, Abby and her mom both started really glamming it up at this point and showing their wealth. Abby more so like through sponsors and stuff like that. But you would see her either wearing ill-fitting clothing or like holding up clothing where it's like she's sponsored for that. That's not something she's actually wearing or wants to wear. It doesn't fit her. It's things that they would send her in the mail and she has to kind of pose with it. But Abby's mom was shown suspiciously close to Tam or Chris Tam, which is really like he's kissing her cheek in a lot of photos. And they're just like real cheek to cheek and real close in a lot of photos. And I don't, I got weird vibes. And a lot of the people that have been kind of digging in on this case got some weird vibes. Like, why are y'all so close?
I've seen the comments on Reddit.
Mm-hmm. I tried not to.
Reddit yourself on that?
Not on this case. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah, I would avoid it, y'all. A lot of the comments are pretty distasteful.
I don't want to. Now, the suspicions as this case developed is basically money laundering, whether through just the Kwong family or within the entire family. There's just traces of suspicious money laundering
Shell
type of behavior
over and over.
Throughout the Chois, the Tams, and the Kwongs, likely over Abby's head. It's very likely that she was just used as a puppet.
Yeah, for sure.
Much like Marilyn Monroe, much like Princess Diana. There's all this shit going on behind their backs. And once they finally stand up, what happens? It feels like one of those socialite situations.
I agree.
Where people are using them as distractions.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This all could have just been something to quiet her. I don't think it was just to take her money.
No, I think it was to shut her up.
Yes.
I think she found out some shit.
Yes, absolutely. Which, yeah, because I don't know why. Because, okay, if she died of natural causes, then her children would be getting all these money and stuff like that. But why would you murder her and go to this effort to do all this stuff when you could have covered it up for natural causes and gotten her money that way?
Yeah, they were more interested in making her disappear.
Yeah. And keeping all eyes on her, though.
Yeah.
Because that's still using her as a puppet.
Yeah, I agree.
It's disgusting. Now, obviously, I can't go into complete detail, but there's a huge spider web developing in this case of who's connected to who. Everyone is interconnected, from Alex Kwong's girlfriend to Abby Choi's best friend. The Choi family, the Kwong family, the Tams are all linked to the triad, the entertainment industry. So a lot of money laundering was done through fake movies.
Yep. That's a pretty common practice.
I had no idea. Hong Kong officials, so businessmen, government officials. It all is interconnected. Everybody has bits and pieces with each other, and it's all I don't know, it's like one big weird scheme where everybody has blackmail or something one up on somebody else, and it's all shady money. It's all disgusting, shady money. That's what all of this is.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's gross.
Money laundering. Why can't you just have honest money? Can't you be good with just honest money?
No.
Why you gotta go above and beyond like that? That's so...
Because money's the root of all fucking evil.
I just want food on my plate and shoes on my feet.
I don't want millions. I just want tens of thousands so I can pay my damn bills and not worry so much.
Right. But no, this is looking to be she's not the only murderer in this scheme. This money laundering scheme.
I was like, I bet
there was murders.
There was
murderers coming before her, and she actually fit the timeline with several other people that just went missing. It's all part of this whole.
I'm sure the minute they just dig a little under the surface, it's just going to be this wide web of.
It really
crime.
is. It really is. So I have linked a video where somebody kind of outlined this, and then had another video where they outlined just the money laundering and shady dealings with the triad and all of that. And it is interesting because everyone is interconnected.
Yeah, it's typically how that shit works.
Yeah, but we'll see how it plays out. May 8th is their next case, court case. So
and we'll try and keep you guys updated. If we forget because we're ding dongs.
Or if we don't see it, reach out to us and be like, hey, I saw.
We'll be happy to cover it.
Yeah, and that's the tea. We can,
That's a tier on our Patreon, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to slide right into that.
Slide in.
Hey, our Patreon has many tiers.
God, I love our Patreon.
Tier 1, $1, and that's the tea. It is post-episode commentary, or where we just talk about our lives a little bit. In addition, you get ad-free episodes. We have our $5 tier, and that's where, the Cruelty Tea Party totally blanked out. Like it fucking went away in my brain.
They don't yet.
You get an episode a week.
An extra episode
that's exclusive to Patreon.
This week you're going to get 2 because our lives...
my dog nearly died. And I'm still not over it,
Yeah.
y'all. My little dog Bunny almost died. We had to take her to the emergency vet, which brings me to our other tiers. The $10 Pen Pal tier. We will send you a letter and a little gift. In addition to all the previous tiers.
We are $2 away from our
first
goal.
goal.
And I'm so excited. So y'all become a patron.
Yes, please. And then we have our $25 tier, and that's Tea of the Month. It's all the previous stuff, plus you get some tea, maybe a little vintage teacup, flavored honeys, some little cookies. You don't know what you'll get.
Different.
It's a little surprise.
It's tea.
And I make the tea. I blend it. Like, I don't make the tea leaves, obviously, but I take tea leaves and I blend them with a bunch of cool stuff and it tastes delicious. And then we have our $50 tier and we have a $100 tier. I'm not going to describe them because I'm tired, but you can go look at them. Lots of cool stuff where you can do things and have things, and it's neat. And then
Once we reach our goal, we'll be doing video more often.
Yes, it's just we need a bit of a financial cushion so we don't have to work all the time in addition to podcast. Something got to give somewhere, or I can't make it. We literally can't make any more content than we're making right now.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Here's my brief business time. So my dog had a nearly $500 vet bill because she exploded and nearly died. And no, we do not know what was wrong with her. She was just really sick. Bunny is all the way better. She's still taking her medicine, but she
heard all your hopes and prayers.
She did.
And all your nice things that you said. She heard it.
And I appreciate it. I heard it too. And if you want to help me out, all my payment information is everywhere in the description. But I would prefer if you buy something from my shop, which will also be linked. And Wolves of Wine Alchemy, my little creation, my shop, is a sponsor of this podcast.
That's right.
So listeners, please put the code CRUEL, CRUEL, in the coupon box there. You'll get 10% off. But I'm done talking because I can't. Thank God it was your episode today. I'm exhausted.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was a good episode.
This was really rough for me.
It is rough.
The more it got interconnected, the more pissed off I got. Because how dare they? Abby Choi was so fucking precious.
She was nice.
She was a little fairy angel baby.
I'll eat my foot or something if it comes out that she was culpable and mixed up in all of this.
Girl, if she was, then she's a mighty fine actress and she should have been. But no, I just really think that she was a genuine
I think
good
she found
person.
out that the shenanigans were afoot and she died for it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But hey, I love y'all very much.
Yeah, let us know what you think about this case. Hit us up on social media. Follow us on Instagram because we're almost hitting 1,000 follows, and I really want that,
like
please.
to. It'd be so cool. Also, y'all, we keep all of our pictures on public posts on Patreon for the cases, so we don't get sent to the shadow realm by the Zuckerberg.
We have more photos there too.
Yes, so please go check that out. But other than that, join our Discord. Also free. Do it. Come say hello to me. Show me a picture of your dog or a kitty cat or your snake or rat or whatever you have. And then tell me what you made for dinner. But I'm going to say goodbye. Good night.
Good night.
Find us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.